Good morning. Today we'll talk about emotions and motivation. Motivation is the internal processes that initiate, sustain, direct, and terminate activities. So for example, if you are hungry, you can study, for example, so you go to Panda Express or some other fast food place to grab some food. So your hunger initiated your food seeking. So you had the need to eat. Your search for food sustained, you continued searching until you found the place to eat at. So your search sustained because the need to eat didn't go away because you haven't found the food place that you wanted to eat at. And you were walking around searching for a place to eat at, and your actions were directed by your hunger. And finally, once you achieved the goal and actually ate, your search for food was terminated until the next time that need is comes about. And there are different types of motives, so they can be biological, stimulus, and learned motives. So biological motives based on biological needs, and they're needed for survival. Elements such as hunger, thirst, sleep, etc. And these drives are necessary in order to maintain a homeostasis, which is an equilibrium in the body, so keeping your body in a steady stage. Stimulus motives express our needs for stimulation and information. Elements such as curiosity, physical contact. It might appear the physical contact a little bit more innate, such as biological, but it's not necessarily necessary for survival. Therefore, it's not in the category of biological motives. And finally, learned motives are learned needs, drives, and goals. So the need for power, for approval, for social status, etc. According to the hierarchy of human needs pyramid, there are certain needs that are more basic and more powerful than others. So anything that is at the base of the pyramid is considered to be more basic and more prominent for us, and the higher you get into the pyramid, the less the need is considered crucial to your actual survival. So the first four levels of the needs are deficiency needs. So physiological needs, safety needs, social, and esteem needs. They're activated by a lack of something. So if you don't have a social interaction, if you don't have friends, for example, the social needs are activated. If you don't have a house or you're feeling unsafe, the safety needs are activated. And of course, if you're hungry or sleepy or something like that, then your physiological needs are activated. The top of the pyramid, the self-actualization, is not driven by a lack of something, but rather there are growth needs. They are rather focused on positive life enhancing force for personal growth in this case. And in general, there are two types of motivation, intrinsic and extrinsic. So intrinsic motivation is motivation that comes from within rather than from external rewards. So motivation that is based on personal enjoyment of a task or activity. So for example, if you're reading a book because you like reading books and you enjoy the author or the plot of the book, you are intrinsically motivated to read the book. Extrinsic motivation, on the other hand, is motivation based on obvious external rewards, obligations, or similar factors. For example, if you are completing a certain quiz or a discussion post, not because you're interested in the topic or in the material or answering the questions, but rather because you want a good grade in the class, it's considered an extrinsic motivation because you're motivated by the potential grade. the good one or the bad one. And then the question arises, which type of motivation better? And the popular answer is that it depends. So if you have excessive amounts of external rewards, so if you're motivated primarily by extrinsic motivation, it's kind of bad, because giving external motivations lead us to feel like we're being bribed, thus potentially decreasing our enjoyment of the task. However, you can use extrinsic motivation when the intrinsic motivation is low. So when you don't have the intrinsic motivation to read, for example, you can use extrinsic motivation to kind of get you going and interested in the task potentially. And once you're actually is interested in the task, whatever you're doing, then kind of slowly remove the extrinsic motivation, leaving you with the intrinsic motivation of being actually enjoying the activity that you're now participating in. And research actually found support for this. So they invited participants to participate in a really tedious and boring task. And half of them were paid really a little bit, like a quarter or something like that, while others were paid a more substantial amount. What they found was that the participants who were paid barely anything indicated that the activity, the really boring and tedious one, was actually fun and kinda interesting. Why did they do that? Well, they didn't have the intrinsic motivation to participate in the experiment, right? They were barely paid, so they had to intrinsically explain to themselves, all right, I'm probably engaging in this activity because it's probably fun. So they use intrinsic motivation, the effect that it's probably they're enjoying the assignment and the boring task. So they noted higher enjoyment of the boring task. Whereas the participants who were paid a greater amount of money indicated the task was extremely boring and they did not enjoy it at all, because they knew they were participating in that assignment because of extrinsic motivation. They're being paid to participate in it. So the intrinsic motivation didn't kick in, so they didn't actually found any reason to enjoy, or didn't know that they were enjoying the boring assignment. I found a really interesting TED Talk talking about how it's important to keep one's goals to oneself and not share it with other people. So if you can please pause right now and check out the very interesting TED Talk on this topic. All right, now we will move to talk about emotions. And emotion is a state that characterized by physiological arousal, changes in facial expression, gestures, posture, and subjective feelings. So for example, happiness, right? And you can see there's a smile, they're talking about there's the movement. Oh, here there's a little bit of wrinkles if it's a genuine smile. So happiness, right? Anger, the eyebrows potentially are down and kind of together. There's eyes glare and narrowing of the lips. Fear, very similar. Surprise, and genuine surprise is actually very short to register on the face. Contempt. And if you note about it, there are also basic emotions. Anticipation, joy, trust, fear, surprise, sadness, disgust, and anger. And they're basic because they're fast and automatic. So you don't usually stop and think, should I be afraid? No, you already automatically, your face responding and your gestures, and you potentially might be starting to sweat, or your heart rate might start getting elevated. They develop early, so babies early in life can exhibit all of these basic emotions and show them. They're universal among people. So if you see somebody who is showing a surprise, a genuine surprise, and the person is from Russia, or the person is being surprised is from Peru, you would be able to identify, oh, those two people are actually are surprised. And we share these basic emotions with other mammals. So if you might see happiness, you might see similar facial gestures both on human beings and animals. Alright, that's all I have on emotions and motivation.